I'm Shivani Sharma from Times Now Navbharat. My question pertains to the women in the army. You right now announced that soon women will be commissioned into the artillery. Is there a timeline or in what numbers these women will be inducted?
Roughly out of this, 70,000 is to come up
for other ranks, women to be included in combat roles.
Thank you. Snesh.
Hi, sir. Snehish here from the print. So, if you could give us an update on the optimization and the restructuring plans of under you. You know, we talk about right-sizing the army. What is the right size that you look at, sir? What are the numbers that we're looking at?
राइट सो मैं पहला सवाल संदीप ने जो पूछा था अग्निपथ के बारे में, तो जो शुरू का जो प्रतिसाद या जो रिस्पांस रहा है, मैं कहना चाहूँगा ये बहुत अच्छा है। और जितने भी पहले बैच में अग्निवीर हमारे रेजिमेंटल सेंटर्स में जिनकी ट्रेनिंग 1 तारीख से शुरू हुई है, ओवरऑल उनका लेवल ऑफ मोटिवेशन, एंथुजियाज्म, यदि मैं कहना चाहूँगा फिजिकल फिटनेस या कीननेस, इन सभी मापदंडों पर और अन्य मापदंडों पर मेरा असेसमेंट यही है कि रिस्पांस हैज़ बीन एक्सट्रीमली एनकरेजिंग एंड पॉजिटिव। आपने जोशीमठ के बारे में पूछा कि इसमें इसका क्या असर है। आपने ये भी बताया वहाँ पर हमारे एक फॉर्मेशन हेडक्वार्टर है, कई यूनिट्स भी है। जहाँ तक उसका क्या असर हमारे आर्मी के एस्टैब्लिशमेंट पर पड़ा है, तकरीबन 25 से 28 वहाँ पे जो बिल्डिंग्स है उसमें कुछ तरह से माइनर क्रैक्स पाई गई है, जिसके फलस्वरूप हमने वहाँ के इन यूनिट्स को या जवानों को कहीं टेम्पररीली रीलोकेट किया है। यदि ज़रूरत पड़ी तो उनको और भी ऊपर परमानेंटली लोकेट करने का भी प्लान है, जो कि औली एक जगह है जोशीमठ से ऊपर, आप लोगों से किसी को ज्ञात होगा। जहाँ तक आपने रोड के बारे में पूछा, मेरी जानकारी के मुताबिक जो रोड है अभी जोशीमठ से आगे होते हुए जो माना जाती है, उसमें अभी फ़िलहाल सिर्फ कोई माइनर डैमेजेस, क्रैक्स वगैरह पाए गए हैं, जो कि बॉर्डर रोड्स ऑर्गेनाइजेशन उनको रिपेयर करने में सफल हुआ है या उस पर काम जारी है। जो बाईपास का रोड है, मेरी जानकारी के मुताबिक उस पर कुछ समय के लिए शायद वह काम या उसको टेम्पररी हॉल्ट किया गया है। पर ओवरऑल यदि आप ये पूछेंगे कि क्या इससे हमारी ऑपरेशनल रेडीनेस, क्या इससे हमारी एक्सेसिबिलिटी टू द फॉरवर्ड एरियाज, क्या उस पर कोई विपरीत इफेक्ट हुआ है, तो मेरा कहना है कि उस पर कोई ऐसी बात नहीं है। उसमें जो हमारी मेन एक्सिस है जोशीमठ से आगे बढ़ती हुई, उसको कोई मेजर डैमेज या ऐसी कोई उस पर इम्पैक्ट या असर हुआ है, ऐसा नहीं हुआ है जिससे कि हमारी ऑपरेशनल रेडीनेस पर कोई असर हो। जहाँ तक सेना का वहाँ के लोकल सिविल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन और लोगों को सहायता देने का सवाल है, वहाँ पर जो हमारा एक हॉस्पिटल है, कुछ हेलीपैड है और अन्य फैसिलिटीज़ है, उसमें से कोई शेल्टर्स भी हमने सिविल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को ऑफ़र किए हैं, यदि वो चाहिए तो कोई लोगों को वहाँ पर रिलोकेट कर सके। तो ओवरऑल जोशीमठ की जो सिचुएशन, उसके बारे में मेरा आंकलन इस तरह का है। एंड आई थिंक द सेकेंड वाज on women in the army, which I think Shivani asked. I mentioned in my opening remarks that the women in the army have performed exceedingly well, given an excellent account of themselves. You would recently have also known that one of our women officers is now got deployed at the Siachen Glacier. You have a women contingent comprising about 25 women, which we have now deployed for a UN assignment. We have about 6 meritorious sportswomen who we have now recruited, and we are training them for greater laurels in their respective fields. you are aware of the permanent commission that we are going to grant to the women officers, which will then prepare them for certain more or major leadership roles in terms of command of various establishment and units. And those who have been granted permanent commission, we are now training them in other professional courses so that they are then eligible for selection for their future responsibilities. So this is in overall in terms of how we look at the women and their employment and performance in the army. And aligned to this, the step that I mentioned, which we have decided to induct women in the artillery, which itself is significant because we believe that they will be able to not only measure up but perform well in all the duties and appointments that we are able to give them. Last was, I think, by Snehesh, in terms of optimization, restructuring and right sizing. I'll give you a little background. This has been something which has been under consideration for some time. You are aware of the committee of experts under General Shekatkar. They had made some recommendations, total of 143, out of which 96 were approved by the ministry, out of which 86 pertain to the army. And out of 86, 58 recommendations have been implemented in full, and for the rest, we are in the process of implementing them. The main aim of this entire exercise to restructure and optimize is to enhance the operational efficiency, make our organizations more lean, agile, more responsive, and then leverage the infusion of technology, make the force less manpower intensive. So we are looking at, besides all this, areas where we are resorting to outsourcing in certain non-core activities. If I were to give you some examples, animal transport, which we felt we have better solutions available in terms of logistic drones, in terms of all-terrain vehicles. We have made a plan by 2030, we'll have only 30-35% of the current animal transport units. We have certain other establishments and units like the pioneer units that we have made a plan as to how they can be how they can be downsized. Then there are elements of the other services. Then there are elements of headquarters. We are looking at making our ordnance supply chain management more agile. Also looking at as to how certain systems of food inspection, food laboratories, as to how they can be optimized. And so the entire aim is to, instead of downsize, right size the army to make it more efficient, better prepared to meet the security challenges of the future.
Okay, for the next round, we will now take questions from Vedika Sood, CNN International, 92 here. We'll take from Vishnu, Som, NDTV, 4, right in the center. And we'll take 62, Rajesh Roy, The Wall Street Journal.
Good afternoon, Chief. This is Vedika Sood from CNN. My question to you pertains with military diplomacy. I want to understand if there's going to be an increase in military exercises in the coming year or years, subsequent years, with especially Quad countries. Thank you.
Yeah, Vishnu.
Good afternoon, sir. Vishnu Shok from NDTV. Could you share a few details on...
Mic is off.
Good afternoon, sir. Vishnu from NDTV. A few questions. One question, sir, specific to Doklam. Are you seeing a substantial build-up in Chinese forces in the last couple of months? Has there been any effort by them to get on top of Jamperi? Have we countered that by a counter deployment there? And simultaneously, sir, on the Amochu to the east of Jamperi and Doklam, there is Chinese construction activity, including not just villages but roads going south. So are they trying to go well beyond the Jhamperi? And if so, do you believe their intention is? How does it threaten us?
That's 3 questions, Vishnu. Yep, Wall Street Journal.
Namaskar, sir. I am Rajesh Roy from the Wall Street Journal. I had a question. How do you see the fallout of the prolonging Russia-Ukraine war on India, which has a huge dependence on Moscow to service its old fleet of weaponry, equipment, and other war systems? Thank you.
Right. The last one first. I think, Rajesh, you asked what has been the impact of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. So we carried out this assessment, and I alluded to the aspect of our reliance on some of the equipment of origin from these countries, which currently we have in service. So the sustenance of these weapon systems, equipment in terms of spares, in terms of ammunition, is one issue that we have addressed. So we've got a waiver, and we've got sanction to procure this equipment even if it is ex-import to meet our requirement for the next 2 to 3 years. We have 40 such cases, including spares, some ammunition, largely pertaining to the air defense and our tank fleet. So that is how we are looking at as to how the sustenance requirement is met. We're also looking at as to how do we look at alternate sources of supply of these spares, which we were sourcing from these countries. And lastly, I think this is also a good opportunity for the indigenous industry to step up and see which are the areas where they can, meet our requirements. So, in terms of the supply from these countries, yes, there has been an impact. We've been able to put out a plan to overcome this, and I think as we move forward, I think we will be able to overcome this challenge successfully. I think Vedika asked about military diplomacy. Now, that is an area where we believe the military and specifically the Indian Army has a major contribution and role to play, especially in the context of immediate neighborhood, because in the immediate neighborhood it goes beyond just our exercises, because a number of officers from these countries have trained with us, all of us together. So there is this special connect. In terms of joint exercises, currently we are engaging with about 40 countries in either bilateral or multilateral exercises. And these largely pertain to mountain warfare, glaciated warfare, counter-insurgency, counter-terrorism operations, in which our friendly foreign countries are keen to engage with us purely because of our combat experience in these fields. And this has been a, I think, good initiative. Next year, we are also having an Africa-India exercise sometime in the month of March. Tentatively, we are planning to have it in Pune, where we have invited contingents of up to a platoon strength or less from African countries and then train together. So that's going to be a multilateral exercise, on the sidelines of which we will also have the Army Chiefs Conclave of the armies of these countries. We are also looking at enhancing the scope of the joint training and these exercises that we do, and include issues of larger interests such as cyber warfare, information operations, and the likes. So it is not only the numbers of the exercise, but also the scope of each of the joint exercises that is enlarging. We are also sending our training teams. Some of them are permanently based. We've also made some tailor-made training teams to meet specific requirement of certain countries who go there, deploy there for 3 to 6 months and then come back. So in terms of military diplomacy, I think we are able to leverage the potential that the military or the Indian Army can offer to further our national interest. And last question was by Vishnu on the situation in the Doklam. Now, without going into the specifics of it, I would only want to mention that we are keeping a close watch on the situation there and monitoring all the activities that are taking place. Beyond this, I think I'll not be, there is nothing else I can share with you.
Okay, we'll take the next set now. Manjeet Negi, 8, Manu Pabi, 44, Ashish Singh, 31. Manjeet. Okay, we'll go to Manu.
Sir, Manu Pabi here from the Economic Times. Sir, on the challenges that you have also require budgetary allotments. Can you give us an idea of whether the Army has required additional money this year to meet these challenges? And in the coming years, sir, what are your expectations from the government in terms of allocation? And so one clarification, you said there's been an increase in troops along the eastern border from the PLA. If you could quantify that, and what reaction have we done to counter that, sir?
Okay, Ashish, this side, on the left.
Namaste sir, Ashish from TV9.
Yeah, this
side. सर आशीष फ्रॉम टीवी। सर पिछले कुछ सालों में हमने चाइनीज़ अग्रेशन देखा है एलएसी पर, और वो कुछ सालों में इंटेंसिफाई हुआ है, चाहे वो डोकलाम हो, फिर गलवान हो, फिर तवांग हो, और भी इस तरह के कई इंसिडेंट हुए हैं। ऐसे में अधिकतर देशवासियों के मन में एक ये प्रश्न ज़रूर रहता है कि इफ़ एंड व्हेन कभी भी अगर इस तरह की सिचुएशन पड़ी कि अगर वॉर, ये क्लैश कभी कोई वॉर के तौर पर कन्वर्ट हो, तो हम कितने सक्षम हैं, हम उनसे कितना आगे हैं या कितना बराबर हैं या पीछे हैं। क्वांटिटेटिवली अगर हम देखें तो जो ओपन सोर्स में हम भी उसे एनालाइज करते रहते हैं और दर्शकों को दिखाते रहते हैं कि हम प्लेटफॉर्म्स के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, चाहे वो एयरक्राफ्ट हो, सबमरीन हो या टैंक्स हो, थोड़ा सा पीछे हैं। पर क्वालिटेटिवली और क्वांटिटेटिवली दोनों में समझना चाहूँगा कि क्या हम उस पोजीशन में हैं कि कब तक एक रफ टाइम फ्रेम कि हम उनके बराबर या उनसे आगे निकल सकें।
ओके, विल टेक वन मोर, कविता 60, हरिभूमि। यहाँ माइक दीजिए बीच में।
नमस्कार सर, मैं कविता जोशी हूँ, हरिभूमि न्यूज़पेपर से। सर मेरा सवाल ये यूएन में जो पीस कीपिंग मिशन में जो हमारे डिप्लॉयमेंट है, इंडिया का बहुत बड़ा डिप्लॉयमेंट है। अभी कुछ समय पहले यूनाइटेड नेशंस ने ये कहा है कि जो पीस कीपर्स जो पार्टिसिपेट कर रहे हैं और शांति स्थापना के लिए प्रयास कर रहे हैं, उसमें जैसे कुछ लोग मारे भी जाते हैं, कुछ घटनाएं ऐसी भी होती हैं कि कुछ लोग घायल होते हैं। तो यूएन ने ये कहा है कि इस तरह की जो घटनाएं होंगी उसमें अब जो दोषी लोग होंगे उनके खिलाफ बहुत बड़ा सख्त कार्रवाई की जाएगी, और इसमें लीगल एक्शन को भी देखा जा रहा है एक ऑप्शन के तौर पे। तो सर इस स्टेप को, इस स्टेटमेंट को यूएन के आप कैसे देखते हैं? और एक छोटा सा सर ये कि अभी जोशीमठ को लेकर के एक सवाल पूछा था संदीप ने, उसी से रिलेटेड मैं क्लैरिफिकेशन चाहती हूँ कि आपने कहा कि हमारे कई सारे ऐसे वहाँ पे जोशीमठ में हमारी जो कुछ फैसिलिटीज़ हैं जो हम सिविल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को दे रहे हैं लोगों को रुकवाने के लिए, ठहराने के लिए। तो सर अगर सिविल एडम की तरफ से आपको ये कहा जाएगा कि सेना लोगों को बाहर निकालने में, उनके घरों से सुरक्षित स्थानों तक पहुंचाने में मदद करे, क्योंकि अभी ये देखा जा रहा है कि सिविल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन जो बाकी एजेंसीज हैं, जो आम लोग हैं, वो उनके साथ ज़्यादा कॉपरेट नहीं कर रहे हैं, और सेना को लेकर के लोगों के मन में एक सम्मान होता है, एक अलग ही तरह का प्यार और प्रेम की भावना देखी जाती है। तो अगर आपको रिक्वेस्ट आती है आइदर स्टेट गवर्नमेंट और सिविल एडम, तो आप क्या लोगों को सुरक्षित स्थानों पर निकालने के लिए सेना जाएगी रिलीफ रेस्क्यू के लिए? थैंक यू सर।
पहला सवाल, दैट्स ऑल, 2 और 1 मोर?
There are 3, sir.
Okay.
हो गए सर, all 3 are
अच्छा,
Kapsa Joshi, Manu Pabi and
आपका your question first,
Ashish.
Manu. You inquired about the budgetary support to meet our future requirements. The government has assured us whatever are our capability development plans, whatever is the budgetary requirement, they will be met in every which manner. So on that score, I think there should be no doubt in our mind whether that is met. Last year we had about 36,000 crores of capital budget which was given to us. We utilized, there were some budget which we were not able to utilize fully, but that was largely because of reasons of COVID and the inability of some of the vendors to meet the timelines. But this year again we've got to the tune of a similar amount. Today the percentage expenditure is about 72%, and I reckon by 31st March, by the end of this financial year, we will be able to utilize the entire amount, and if required we will ask for some additional funds, and which we have been assured or promised. You also mentioned about the troop levels across Eastern Command. Without again going into specific as to how many where, I did mention that there has been a slight increase in the troops on the other side who had come for training, who have remained there. What have we done in response? Of course, we have our adequate forces which are available, both who are deployed along the LAC as well as we are maintaining reserves in these respective areas. So on that account, I think in terms of our preparedness, in terms of our numbers and the strength, I must assure you that there are, we are adequately or well poised to meet any challenge. आपने आशीष आपने पूछा कि क्या हमारे और एडवर्सरी के बीच में जो नंबर्स, आपने नंबर्स का जिक्र किया, मैं सिर्फ ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि कोई भी सेना की क्षमता या इसमें सिर्फ नंबर्स पे निर्भर नहीं है, उसमें कई अलग अलग मुद्दे होते हैं. आपके जो लड़ाई की सामग्री है या वेपन सिस्टम इक्विपमेंट इज़ वन कंपोनेंट. उसके अलावा आपकी लेवल ऑफ ट्रेनिंग है, आपकी लेवल ऑफ मोटिवेशन आपके सोल्जर्स की, जो ह्यूमन रिसोर्स है मेरी समझ में वो भी उतने ही मायने रखता है. उसी तरह से इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और उसी तरह से वहाँ पर किस तरह की टेरेन अवेलेबल है. सो इट इज़ अ सम टोटल ऑफ ऑल दिस. सो आपको संक्षिप्त में यदि मैंने आपको प्रश्न का जवाब देना है तो मैं आपको ये आश्वस्त कराना चाहता हूँ या फिर ये भरोसा दिलाना चाहूँगा, यदि कोई ऐसी ज़रूरत पड़ी या कोई ऐसी सिचुएशन आई तो हमारी सेना पूरी तरह से सक्षम है, सशक्त है, प्रबल है. और यदि कोई ऐसी सिचुएशन आती है उसका पूरी तरह से मैं समझता हूँ रिस्पॉन्ड करने में पूरी तरह से तैयार है. और आपका प्रश्न था यूएन पीस कीपिंग के बारे में, और जो लीगल एक्शंस या इस तरह से इंजर्ड या जो वहाँ पर यदि जान गंवा देते हैं उनके बारे में उसकी क्या लीगल पोजीशन है, तो उसके बारे में मैं थोड़ा और मेरे को जानकारी हासिल करनी पड़ेगी. पर हमारे जब भी हम कोई डिप्लॉयमेंट करते हैं यूएन मैंडेट के तहत, तो इन सब चीज़ों का एडिक्वेटली हम ध्यान देते हैं, और साथ ही पूरा लीगल ओपिनियन करने के बाद ओनली व्हेन ऑल दीज एस्पेक्ट्स आर एड्रेस्ड डू वी कमिट आवर ट्रूप्स टू द यूएन. सो व्हाटएवर जो भी आपके मतलब मन में शंका या इश्यूज है वो मैं बताना चाहूँगा कि दे वुड हैव बीन एडिक्वेटली एग्जामिन्ड, या उसका सही मायने में सोच करके ही ये किया होगा. स्पेसिफिक जो आपका प्रश्न है आई मे नॉट बी एबल टू आंसर सिंस इट्स अ लीगल मैटर, दैट इज वन, बट आई कैन रिवर्ट बैक टू यू. जहाँ तक आपने जोशी मठ के बारे में पूछा, और मैंने शुरू में बताया जो भी हमारी वहाँ पे फैसिलिटीज़ है, जो भी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है, जिस मात्रा में या जिस तरह से हम मदद कर पाएंगे वहाँ पर स्थानिक प्रशासन की हम पूरा करेंगे। और ऐसे सिचुएशंस में हमने पहले भी पास्ट में भी पूरी तरह से मानवीय या फिर प्राकृतिक आपदा का सामना करने में पूरी मदद की है, तो उसी की तरह यहाँ पर भी हम करेंगे।
Okay, we'll take the last set now. We've already exceeded time. We'll start with Sudhiranjan Sen, Bloomberg, Manas Bhuya, PTI, and Abhishek Bhalla, India TV, India Today TV. Yeah, please start.
Chief, Sudhiranjan from Bloomberg here, sir. Sir, given the background of Joshi Mart, are you kind of doing some kind of a survey, assessment of your, your units, positions that are not only there in Joshi Mart, but, strewn across the border, the northern borders, given the fact that there is such a sensitivity to the border right now? And if so, do you have an alternative plan? And will you kind of advise the civilian government that the military is taken more into confidence before building projects out there?
Okay, next question. Mike दीजिए यहाँ.
So this is Manoj Pande from PTI, Press Trust of India. Yes. Good afternoon, sir. Sir,
Yeah.
to your left.
This way.
Oh yeah, sorry.
So do you think the Russian invasion of Ukraine actually added new complexities to India's long-term security challenges, as it could, there has been observations that it could embolden China to become more aggressive along the borders with India? And a quick second question about your predecessor, General Narawane's recent comments that, theaterization plan will not be prudent idea without enunciating the national security strategy. So how do you see the comments, sir? Thank you.
Okay, Abhishek Bhalla. Very good. Yeah, Abhishek, mic.
Good afternoon, sir. Abhishek Bhalla from India Today this side. Sir, just a short question. Manas has already asked the theaterization question that I wanted to ask. So I'll push in a simple question. A lot of thrust on women in the army. Is the army ready for having women in infantry and armored corps?
Yeah, that's all.
Yes.
Okay. So the first question in terms of the impact of the Russia-Ukraine conflict so I did mention that we've carried out a detailed analysis in terms of what lessons are there for us, right at the strategic level, at the operational level, or for us as military men, at the tactical level in terms of the weapon systems, their operating procedures, tactics, etc. And we need to be sure that we have to contextualize as to whatever lessons they are, as to how applicable they are in our context. But in brief, we have assessed the impact, we have drawn out these lessons, and we will translate them, we will incorporate them, or we've already done it in terms of how, shall we say, relevance of the larger weapon platforms, relevance of non-kinetic domains such as cyber, space, or for that matter information warfare. Now these are some very profound issues, lessons that have come out of it. So yes, we are looking at all this and seeing as to how we can apply them in our context. Your question with respect to theaterization and the comments on what General Narawane said, I think it is not fair for me to comment, but to say that I think in the future, integrated and a tri-service response to meet our future security challenges is an imperative. And towards this, I think we need to get the right joint tri-services structures in place. And just to elaborate, you're looking at a theatre command as a single entity, looking after all security aspects, issues in a geographical area under one single commander. So I leave it here by just highlighting the importance of theaterization, but stop short of commenting on what my predecessor, his views were. And I think that would also answer another question which somebody else asked in terms of theaterization. But yes, amongst the three services, we are in the process of consultations, deliberations on issues related to the integrated theatre command. And it's something which is currently under deliberation. And the last was with respect to employment of women in other arms and services. I mentioned to you, we have taken the first step, or one more step, not the first one, in terms of as to how we can, where we can employ women officers. In certain other arms and services, as we move forward, we will in due course take a decision on this.
Thank you, sir. We have now come to the end of the interactive session. May I request you all, Chief has another engagement. We already overshot by 18 minutes.